Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, we will discuss about the next part of the previous video, which is heart, and this part includes the structure of the human heart. As you can see, this is the structure of human heart in 3D view. So this heart of human is the most busiest organ of the body, and in adult human the heart weighs about 300 gram, and length is about 12 centimeter and breadth is about 9 centimeter. This is an average measurement, so this is not exactly same in every human being, but up to 17 to 20 years the weight is around like this. In case of female, it is a little smaller than in case of male. So, and the another thing is that this heart is covered by a double wall layer. Okay, this double layer membrane is called the pericardium. This pericardium is present side by side, very close to each other, but there is a space which is filled by a fluid called pericardial fluid, and this fluid protects the heart from any kind of external shock. So this pericardial membrane is the outermost double walled membrane of the human heart. This fluid also absorbs mechanical shocks, and it sometimes prevents heart from any kind of friction, any kind of external pressure and injuries, or it also allows freedom of movement to the heart, and it keeps the heart suspended in its proper place. So this pericardial fluid has several functions, and this is all about the outer membrane of the heart. If we discuss about the external structure of the heart, then it is looks like the conical structure. As you can see over here, this is like a conical structure and broad at the base. This is the base part, this is broad, and narrow at the apex part. This is the apex part. Apex part is narrow and the base part is broad. Okay, so externally also it is four chambered and having two atria and two ventricles. You can clearly see these two are atria and this is ventricle. Externally it is not clearly seen that it is two chamber or four chamber, but internally it is clear over here. This is the two chamber, these are the ventricles, and this is the atria. Okay, so if we say individual or singular form, this is the atrium, this is atrium if we consider one atrium, but in plural form it is atria. Like this, ventricles, ventricle in singular form and ventricles in plural form. Okay, this ventricular part, you can clearly see this is the larger part than the atria. Okay, and it is separated from it means this ventricle, it's separated from the atria by transverse groove. Okay, this is a transverse groove which is called coronary sulcus. Sulcus means it is a groove which divides the areas in the heart externally. So this is the coronary sulcus, and this is the upper part of the heart, and this is the lower part, and lower part is larger than the upper part. Okay. Now let's start with the internal structure of the heart. So the internal structure of the heart is also divided into 4 chambers. That is left side over here, left side and right side. This is the left side of the human heart, and this is the right side. So it is left atrium, left ventricle, this is right atrium, and this is right ventricle. These are the 4 chambers. Okay. But internally this atria and ventricle is divided by a membrane, and this membrane is called, both the atria and both the ventricle are separated by a membrane called arterioventricular septum. Okay. And this ventricle, this 2 ventricle is separated by a membrane over here. This is called interventricular septum. Septum means membrane. Okay. So there is no confusion that sulcus is a groove, and septum means a membrane or partition which divides the 2 ventricle into 2 parts or 2 chambers. This is interventricular septum. Likewise, your right and left atrium also divided by a membrane, and that membrane is called interarterial septum. Interarterial septum. So internally heart is divided by 3 septum. Okay. So one is arterioventricular septum, which divides both the atria and ventricle, and the interventricular septum, which divides your ventricle into 2 chambers, and the last one is interarterial septum, which divides the atria into 2 chambers. During embryonic stage, the 2 atria, this 2 atria is which is divided by interarterial septum, has a hole. Okay, like this. If this is the chamber and this is a membrane, then there is a hole during embryonic stage, and inside the mother's uterus, fetus blood is not circulated by its heart. So fetus blood is completely circulated by its mother's heart and mother's blood circulation. So there is no flow of any kind of impure blood or deoxygenated blood to the fetus heart. So there is a hole in between the 2 chambers of the heart, which is the atrial chamber, and this hole is called fossa ovalis. But during birth, this fossa ovalis is closed, okay, by a membrane, and that structure will be like this oval like structure. Okay, so that's why the name is foramen ovale. Okay, this fossa ovalis aperture is closed when the lungs become functional in case of fetus. Okay, now the right atrium, this chamber, opens up to the superior vena cava. This is the venous system of the heart. You can see clearly. This is the superior vena cava structure, and this is the inferior vena cava. Superior vena cava receives deoxygenated blood from the upper body parts, which are situated above the heart, and this is the inferior vena cava, which collects or receives deoxygenated blood from the lower organs of the body which are present just below your heart. So lower body organs gives this deoxygenated blood to the inferior vena cava, and inferior vena cava gives this deoxygenated blood to the right atrium chamber. Now the superior vena cava will collect the deoxygenated blood from upper body parts like head, neck, shoulder, hands. So this all the organs which are present above the upper part of the heart, and this deoxygenated blood can be carried through the superior vena cava, and this deoxygenated blood finally reach to the right atrium chamber of the heart. Then this deoxygenated blood from right atrium move to the right ventricle. Then after the right ventricle receives the deoxygenated blood, it immediately gives this deoxygenated blood to the lungs through this vein. This is through this structure which is called the pulmonary artery. As this artery carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs, that's why it is named as pulmonary artery. Pulmonary word is always related to lungs. So remember one thing, this is the exception, that is normally we know that deoxygenated blood carries through the vein and oxygenated blood carries through the arteries. This is vein structure. This two superior and inferior vena cava carries deoxygenated blood, but this is an exception, that one of the exception is that this pulmonary artery is an artery, but it receives deoxygenated blood, and this deoxygenated blood will reach to the lungs for purification. Now another structure is present over here. See, this right atrium and right ventricle is guarded by a valve, and this valve is called the tricuspid valve. Tricuspid means that three cusp-like structures valve is present over here, which will open when right atrium gives blood to the right ventricle, and after filling up the right ventricle, this tricuspid valve will close, and then right ventricle when gives this deoxygenated blood to the pulmonary artery, there is another valve which is called the pulmonary valve over here, will open up, and after lungs will get this deoxygenated blood, and this valve will close immediately. After this, blood will rush to the next part. Okay, so over here at the right side there is pulmonary valve over here, and there is tricuspid valve over here. Then after purification in the lungs, the two blood vessels from the lungs are connected to the left atrium of the heart. One is from the right part of the lungs, another is from the left part of the lungs. So you can say this is the pulmonary vein, this is the right pulmonary vein, and this is the left pulmonary vein. And this is also exception. This is the vein, but it carries the oxygenated blood, O2 containing blood, after purification in the lungs. Then this oxygenated blood will reach to your left atrium part, and there is another valve over here which is called mitral valve, or it is also called as bicuspid valve. It will open, and blood from the left atrium will reach to the left ventricular part. This is the O2 containing blood, okay, oxygenated blood. Then after filling up the left ventricle, this mitral valve will close. Now this oxygenated blood will immediately go to this structure, and this structure is called the aorta. This is a kind of artery, okay, artery, but this is the largest artery, aorta. And there is also another valve over here which prevent the backflow of the oxygenated blood. This is called the aortic valve, okay. Now this aortic valve will close and blood will reach to the aorta part. You can see clearly this aorta has three curves. One is ascending aorta, and the next part is your arc of aorta, and the downward direction aorta is the descending aorta. If we draw a diagram over here like this is the aorta. Here there is three different connection for three region, okay. This is ascending aorta, this is descending, and this is arc of aorta, okay. Blood will move like this. Descending aorta gives oxygenated blood to different body organs, okay. But this arc of aorta, which has three different openings or connections, these are called subclavian arteries. This is right subclavian artery. This is left subclavian artery, and this is common carotid artery, okay. This right subclavian artery gives oxygenated blood to the right hand, shoulder, and left subclavian artery gives oxygenated blood to the left hand and shoulders, and this common carotid artery gives O2 blood to the neck and head parts, okay. So this arc gives oxygenated blood through three subdivision of arteries or aortas to upper body parts, and this descending aorta gives O2 blood or oxygenated blood to the various different organs which are present at the lower part of the heart. Here you can also see the anatomy of heart. These are the right ventricle, left ventricle, right atrium, left atrium. This is pulmonary artery which is connected to the lungs. This is superior vena cava. This is inferior vena cava. Another thing is that this inferior vena cava is the largest vein in the body. Note this point. Largest vein in the body is inferior vena cava. And this is superior vena cava. And largest artery, if someone asks you, that largest artery is your aorta. Okay. So before aorta there is aortic valve. Before pulmonary artery there is pulmonary valve, semilunar valve, and here there is tricuspid valve, and over here there is bicuspid valve. Here you can clearly see these valves, okay. Mitral valve, tricuspid valve, see, okay. Blood flow in this direction to aorta, different body organs, to lungs, pulmonary artery, pulmonary veins. This is the exception. This is the CO, this is O2 containing blood, and this is CO2 containing blood. Another thing is that this, you can see over here in this diagram, the tricuspid and bicuspid valve. These are connected to the heart muscles. Oh, okay, you can see over here. These are connected to the heart muscles internally through these thread-like structures, tissues. Okay, so this structure is called the chordae tendineae. This chordae tendineae is the strong thread which is made up of you can say the tendons. Okay, so these tendons structure which is attached with the papillary. This is the papillary muscles of the heart. This is the chordae tendineae. These are thread like structure which will help these valves to open and close during the pumping function of the heart. So this is all about the internal structure of the heart.